Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers, Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, October 14th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and Patrick Murray, who was one of our Players Suite interview guests during the summer, is back with us. We said we'd get him on the show a few times this season on the daily live show to break down the games from a betting perspective, and he will make his daily live show debut here on the Ice Guys today, and looking forward to having him here with us. We hope everyone north of the border here in Canada survived Thanksgiving and enjoyed the holiday. And now back to regular business and the Tuesday slate, 8 games on tap. Looking forward to it. Patrick, just a first word from you. Good to have you on the daily live show for the first time.
Yeah, boys. Thanks for having me. It's good to be here. Happy belated Thanksgiving to all the folks north of the border. We're just excited to talk some puck.
No doubt. We'll do a recap first of a busy Monday, obviously. We had a lot of day games because of the holiday, and it was a holiday on both sides of the border yesterday. As a result, we saw a lot of daytime action going on. The Winnipeg Jets, how about the job they did? The place that they had really struggled to win, the New York Islanders, they had struggled on the road over the years against the Isles. Not yesterday. A nice 5-2 win for the Winnipeg Jets. In that one, the Islanders off to a bad start so far this year, struggling to get wins and, struggling defensively too. Like this Islander team, remember the Barry Trotz days, how good they were in their own end and not giving up goals. And they've been giving up goals in bunches here early in the season. That's got to be a concern here for Patrick Waugh. No question about that, but not a good defensive effort again. And they lose 5-2 to the Winnipeg Jets. Buffalo just continues to be mired in just, their own filth, if you will. A 3-1 loss to the Colorado Avalanche. And you saw the video clips, I sure did, with Tage Thompson getting frustrated and agitated with the questions after just game three of 82. And we're already getting sick and tired of the same old questions being thrown at them by the media members there. Mike Harrington giving everybody grief, apparently, with that Sabres team right now. I'm kidding. Mike's actually one of the good beat reporters because he's going to hold people accountable. He's going to be honest reporting. He's one of my favorite follows. You should be following him if you want good Sabre info. Mike Harrington does a good job there with that. But the Buffalo Sabres are not doing a good job with much of anything. They're not scoring. Obviously, 2 goals in 3 games combined to begin the year. Simply not going to get the job done. And they lose 3-1 there to the Colorado Avalanche there yesterday afternoon. Boos with Buffalo going off the ice from the crowd. A jersey was thrown on the ice. Just not a good scene to begin the year for the Sabres, that's for sure. Nashville, a 4-1 win against Ottawa. Of course, Patrick's located in Nashville. He's a Nashville guy now, living there. And the Predators get a nice win yesterday, 4-1 over the Ottawa Senators in that game. And, I had a bad call for me with Ottawa, but give the Nashville Predators credit. Now, it was a pretty even game, 32-26 in shots. It was a really good game from UC Saros, and the Predators need him to bounce back and have a good year if they're going to obviously make those improvements and even think about challenging for a playoff spot. But 1 goal against on 32 shots is pretty good, for UC Saros, and a nice defensive effort from Nashville in that 4-1 victory. Tampa Bay gets a 4-3 win against Boston off the schneid, and they get the job done there against the Bruins. Goal scoring's not been a problem for Tampa. Defensively, they've given up more goals than I know they'd like. But how about the fact that they're 0-2 with Vasilevsky in net, but they're now 1-0 with Jonas Johansson in net, who got the start yesterday for Tampa Bay and helping them get that first win of the year. Toronto, that's just tough luck. You dominated the game. 41-15 or something in shots for the Leafs yesterday. Everything but score. Cam Talbot was terrific. One of the better games you'll see him play, and the puck just didn't go in. That was the difference for the Leafs. Otherwise, they played a good game, deserved the 2 points, didn't get it. Hey, that's hockey sometimes. It's going to happen. And Detroit gets the 3-2 win there over Toronto. Detroit sweeping the home and home over the Toronto Maple Leafs. Philadelphia, of course, finally stopped fading Florida, and now they lose their first game yesterday against Philadelphia 5-2. I was tempted to take Philly once I found out that Tarasov was going to get his first start in net, and clearly you can see not quite what Sergei Bobrovsky is in net. Daniil Tarasov getting his first start of the regular season for the Panthers last night, but another pretty solid effort from Rick Tocchet's team. Finally getting that first win, and because they've played pretty solid. They gave Florida a tough game in Florida. They took Carolina to overtime, this Philadelphia Flyers team. So like I said, I was very, very I like the way they're competing early in the year for Rick Tocchet. I think they've really paid attention to improving the details of their game defensively. So that's been good to see. New Jersey, 3-2 against Columbus. I thought they played an impeccable defensive game. They really smothered Columbus, didn't give them a lot. I know Columbus had a lot of shots, but I found a lot of the chances were of the lesser variety. Jake Allen, who was very good in the first two periods, though, leaves the game due to injury, and it was Jacob Markstrom that had to finish that game for the Devils in net. But they do get the job done, 3-2 over the Blue Jackets. I expected more goals in that game, didn't get it. As it falls short of the over in that one. This was a great result for me betting-wise. St. Louis, that's now 2 show best bet winners in a row with the St. Louis Blues. We used them against Calgary on Saturday, and we used them again last night as a small underdog, beating Vancouver 5-2 in that game. Great contributions. Jimmy Snuggerud, what a night for him. He gets his first 2 goals of the season. That's good news for those that have the Calder Trophy future on Jimmy Snuggerud, as I do, and also his props to go over as far as goals and points for the season. So I was very happy to see that. The Blues get the job done 5-2 over the Vancouver Canucks. Not the best night for Kevin Lankinen in between the pipes, and a very quiet night again for Elias Pettersson. And I've got to say, it's been a less than stellar start for a guy that's got a lot to prove. At a dismal season last year, falling out with JT Miller, his teammate, which led to Miller's trade to the Rangers. And we're looking for that, showing you why. Be a professional, show why you're still supposed to be one of the better players in the league. And I think Pettersson's still not there. EP40 got a lot still to show. It's been a quiet start to the year for him, for the Vancouver Canucks. But St. Louis played well, 5-2. Crazy game with LA and Minnesota. Minnesota with 3 power play goals, just making the Kings pay for a brutal lack of discipline that they've shown all season. Kings are taking way too many penalties, and again, they paid the price for it. And that's on coaching. We're not fans of Jim Hiller and the debacle we saw from him, especially in the series against Edmonton, where he basically botched it. He's playing guys 2 minutes a night on his bench, not managing his bench properly, blowing leads, of course, in that series. So we're not Jim Hiller fans. And when you are taking the amount of penalties LA falls on the coach. And right now, they're just in the penalty box. This Kings team, way too much. And the Wild made them pay for it early. That being said, Kings showed some resolve. 3 goals in the third period to tie it up against Jesper Wallstedt. But Minnesota emerges with the win in a shootout. That was another good game for me betting-wise last night with Minnesota and the over, both cashing in that game, in that 4-3 Minnesota win. And Alex's Chicago Blackhawks, good timing for him to have his connection return here, as Chicago gets the 3-1 win over the Utah Mammoth last night, their first win of the season. Close calls, but no cigar it had been for Chicago so far. Gave Florida a battle, lost in overtime to Boston, gut-wrenching loss to Montreal, where they lose a point with the game-winning goal given up with 15 seconds left in regulation to the Canadiens. But finally, Chicago gets that elusive first win. They had played better than a winless team going into that game last night. And Chicago, nice 3-1 win. And Spencer Knight, we're big fans. Another solid night for him, no pun intended, in net for the Chicago Blackhawks. Alex, your thoughts on the big Monday slate?
Yeah, a lot of games to get through. Just quickly go through. I'm having some serious computer issues. But yeah, Hawks game was fantastic. Like I said, this is a team that has really changed their dynamic the last couple of years, and the biggest change is how they're starting games. They aren't going up and down. They aren't giving up a bunch of goals. They aren't necessarily scoring a lot of goals either. So, where this is a team we love with first period overs, we cannot look at that right now with Chicago. You just simply can't, because they are focusing on puck possession, being more solid defensively. Spencer Knight giving them big saves, especially early in games, but just throughout the contest, looking strong, looking sharp. And now, if they can just get that offense to start rolling a little bit early, like I said, they still are relying so much on the counter shot. They're relying on getting those 2-on-1 chances, those 3-on-2, those odd man rushes. They have to start creating things, when shit's even, or when their backs against the wall. And that's what I want to see. But like I say, great progression as far as this team goes from a defensive standpoint. They're still giving up too many shots, but they're not giving up as many goals, and they're not giving up as many high danger chances. That's the thing. And even when they are, they've got Knight there to make the stopping and get the saves. The Kings Wild game was absolutely crazy. That was one where I just missed out on cashing a live ticket. I grabbed plus 500 and a plus 250 when the Kings were coming back in that third period. But just you could tell the momentum had shifted. And Wild fans that I talked to last night, they were not happy about how that game. Of course, they were happy to get the 2 points in the result, but not happy to see the defense just lacking right now. And Wallstead, he's going to be a guy who's still going to have his wobbles. He's going to give up those soft goals. And that's something that they have to work on with him. We saw that with him in Iowa last year. The goals that he gave up, he made big saves, but when he gave up goals, there were goals that most average NHL goalies could stop. So he has to work on being a little bit better in that perspective. Philly getting that 5-2 win. We said, Florida, we're going to just go 82-0. They had to lose at some point, and Philly had shown some fight against Carolina and kind of carried that momentum over and took down Florida. And like I said, this is a Philly team. I got them over 10.5 points for the month of October, so that was a really nice win for me as far as hoping to cash that ticket. Definitely could be some spots throughout the year where we catch Philly at a plus 200 dog or higher, and we can back them because they just don't quit. They get continue the fight in games. And Tampa Bay, Boston, the Bruins. That's another team that's showing a hell of a lot of fight for as bad as we thought they would be. And I think they're still going to be a bad team, but losing 4-3 in Tampa, that's a win that they desperately need to have. Jonas Johansson looked fantastic in the third period. The save that he needed to make in the last 2.5, 3 minutes to keep that game and keep that score at 4-3 were solid. So rare that we give that man compliments, but he certainly earned it for how he played in the third and getting Tampa Bay the victory.
Yeah, no doubt. Tampa Bay needed it, and they got it yesterday. They're in action tonight, first of the doubleheader tonight on ESPN, which we'll get to later in the show, Lightning and Capitals. Patrick, your thoughts on what you saw yesterday?
Well, being a Sabres fan, it's funny. We usually have long off seasons because we don't make the playoffs. And there's always the excitement heading into the season, like, is this the year they're going to crack it? They're going to make the playoffs. And I got to say, this is impressive even by their standards that the season is seemingly over after 3 games out of an 82-game schedule. And we got jerseys being thrown on the ice, the hard-hitting questions already in the locker room. You were talking earlier before the show about, Tage getting frustrated with some of the questions coming from reporters. And it just feels like there's a boiling point that might be hit soon where guys might be saying, you know what, I only have so long in this league. I want to try to win, and it's just not going to happen here. So it's been a tough first week for the Sabres. Tell you what, if you want to bet the unders on any of their games, I give you a good chance to win. In terms of the Preds, they've been a shock to me. I mean, last year they had that big offseason, bringing in all the big name free agents, and everybody, was writing them to be a top team in the NHL, and they obviously laid an egg. And this year they're off to a better start. I feel like that could really guide their momentum throughout the rest of the season, and they could be completely different from what they were last year. I think last year, what they start the first 8 games without a win, they were like 0-7-1 or something like that. So I mean, you fall that far behind the 8 ball that early, it's tough to claw back. People always say you can't make the playoffs in the month of October, but you can certainly, find yourself out of the playoffs in the first month of the season. So it's important for them to get off to a quick start. What are they, 2-0-1 or something like that? So they're doing really well. Tough.
Only
test.
loss was to Utah on Saturday.
Yeah. So it'll be a tough test for them today against Toronto. Toronto coming off a loss. It's always tough to bet against those teams. They have head coaches Craig Berube, Philly with Rick Tocchet. Those guys wear their heart on their sleeve, and I find it
They'll crack some skulls if the struggles and the lack of performance continues.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very difficult for me to believe that Toronto's just going to come out and give the game away to the Preds. So it'll be a tough one for them to get. And same thing, Philly, very impressive last night. But I think Philly might be a surprise this year to a lot of people. With Rick Tocchet behind the bench, they're bringing in some more skill to provide a little bit more offense. I would not be surprised at all if Philly's battling for a playoff spot later in the season.
Yeah, no question. All right, let's get into Tuesday. We've got 8 games. We'll begin with the Edmonton Oilers and the New York Rangers. We've got Edmonton minus 140, road favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. You've got an Edmonton team that split their first 2 home games of the season against Calgary and Vancouver. They lost in a shootout to the Flames, bounced back with a pretty dominant effort. They pretty much controlled that game start to finish against Vancouver. Certainly did not give the Canucks a whole lot in that victory on Saturday. We'll see if they, starting this road trip, we'll see if they can carry that over. The New York Rangers, 2-0 on the road, and I think they've scored, 10 goals in the 2 games on the road, 0-2 at home, and they haven't scored yet this season at Madison Square Garden. So pretty crazy to see the difference here between these two, with the Rangers home versus road so far this season. Shut out by Pittsburgh and Washington at home. The offense has obviously, specifically at home, been an issue. There's no question. You look at this matchup here with the Oilers and Rangers. This is usually the angle where, it's Rangers off a shutout loss. That angle's not clicking so far early in the season. We've seen a couple instances already where it hasn't been hitting. I'm going to bet it small, but I can't say it's with overly strong conviction necessarily. But the angle is off a shutout loss for a team. You bet first period over, full game over the very next game. I'm going to dabble in that here, but I got to admit my conviction and my confidence in it is starting to wane a little bit because, like I said, that angle hasn't been phenomenal here in the early going in the season. That's what I'm going to do pregame. I'm just going to sprinkle on that over by Fecta. I'm going to look for Edmonton in-game. I don't want to lay minus 140 pregame with the Oilers. I do think they win. That's the side I would bet here in this game. I think the Oilers too, just capable of winning this game, and obviously we see them playing a much better game against Vancouver last time out. They can't score, Jeffrey. That's why I'm keeping it. It's the system's the system. I always say that. If you believe in the system, you got to bet it. But it doesn't mean you have to bet it for your usual unit size. So that's why it's lower units. It's a lesser units opinion here on the over by Fecta in this game. Like I said, I want Edmonton, but I'm going to look for a price in game. I do think that part of me thinks that maybe the Rangers could score first just because, look, they know they've been shut out 2 in a row at home, and they don't want this to continue. You got to put a good effort on home ice knowing how difficult you've had it in your first 2 home games. So I'm hoping the Rangers get a lead, and then I can take Edmonton at some point live at a plus price. That's certainly going to be my approach. And it does hurt the Rangers with Vincent Trocheck out. Obviously, it hurts their center ice depth. That's been put to the test. And you look at the lineup here for the Rangers going into tonight's game. You've got Zibanejad, JT Miller, Noah Laba's got to move up to the third-line center spot, Sam Carrick, the fourth-line center. Like I said, they're going to need, obviously, Panarin to get rolling here a bit more. Lafreniere's got to be not just good, he's got to be really good for this team playing on that top line if they are going to be the team they want to be this season, particularly offensively. So I'm going to sprinkle on the over by Fecta just because it's the system play. And there's Jonathan's got it for us there. Yeah, I figured, it was 0-3 with the first period over this year in the system, 1-2 in the full game. So there has been 1 full game over that is cashed in games involving a team following a shutout loss. So maybe you defer more to the full game over, but that's about it for me, just a over by Fecta, and I'll look for a live bet on Edmonton at a better price. Alex, what do you think, Oilers, Rangers?
This is one where if you look in the back the system, I'd say maybe go in game with it. Go look for the bifecta, but give yourself some time to watch the game, see where the pace of play goes, and not to mention you get a better numbers with the over 5.5 in first period over. So it's not on my card, but that's the way I would approach that. And I'm of course will be watching this game being first off. So I'll be looking for that. The one play I do have is Edmonton to score first goal in the first period plus 110. I'm right there with you on the fact of trying to look for a better price with Edmonton, and I'm not comfortable about betting them in regulation. But this is a spot where if Edmonton does jump out and get the first goal early, we're not going to have a chance to do it. So I'm kind of ensuring myself a little bit of a either I cash a bet with them scoring first, or Rangers score first, and now I can go and grab Edmonton at a better adjusted price for the money line for the full game.
Couple props. I think there's some value with Edmonton because Jack Roslovic is entering the lineup for the first time this season, and he's going to play on the second line, it looks like, with the Nuge, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and Matt Savoy. Savoy's probably got value, but I like Roslovic too. Former Ranger, briefly. He wasn't with the Rangers long, but it was the second half of a couple seasons ago. He was with the New York Rangers when he got dealt from Columbus. So former team angle as well for Roslovic here, now suiting up for the first time this season for the Oilers. And our guy playing on the top line with Draisaitl and McDavid, Mangiapane. I think he's probably worth a look here, Andrew Mangiapane on the top line. This is an angle, and to Patrick, who's on it with us for the first time. This is an angle, Patrick, we've talked about a lot. Finding the prop value on the players moving up the lineup, playing in spots that aren't reflected in their prop pricing. And Mangiapane is a perfect example of that. He's plus 530 at some books to score a goal tonight. And He's playing with McDavid and Draisaitl on the top line. Jack Roslovic's entering the lineup on the second line with Nugent-Hopkins. I'm seeing him at FanDuel right now, plus 500 to score a goal tonight. That's the value we always make sure we highlight on this show on a daily basis as far as player props. The value on the players moving up to the top line or the second line, and the prices with their player props are simply not reflective of it. And that's a perfect example of it right there. Patrick, your thoughts? Anything you like betting-wise here, Oilers, Rangers?
Well, the Rangers' new captain, JT Miller, he's a fiery guy. He's almost like another head coach. And what I've heard about him, how he's in the room, he's not shy to get on guys. So I have to believe them getting shut out.
Pedersen knows that all too well.
Yeah. I got to believe that them getting shut out last game against the Caps, they're going to come out flying tonight, especially knowing with how dangerous Edmonton is. Anytime you have 97 and 29 in the ice, it's tough to see. It's tough to imagine that they're not going to hit the over at 5.5. But I think in New York's mind, they know they have to get off to a fast start. Haven't scored yet at home, like you said. So I would look for over in shots, total shots. I think they're going to be firing everything that they can at the net, getting as much traffic to the net, and just making it miserable around the crease for Stuart Skinner, who I'm assuming is starting tonight. I'm not sure.
It's Skinner. Stuart Skinner for the Oilers, and it's Igor Shesterkin for the Rangers. Yep.
So the only thing that scares me about the over, though, is Shesterkin. I mean, he can absolutely steal a game, and he makes the saves that goalies aren't supposed to make. So that's always a threat. But how can you bet against Draisaitl and McDavid to put up numbers, to put up offense? So for me, I like the over at 5.5. I think, like I said, with the Rangers knowing that they need to provide a spark and some offense, in Edmonton, which is how deep they are and how talented they are. And, there's excitement. Jack Roslovic, he's a hell of a player. I couldn't believe he waited until now to sign, but I know that I'm sure he was looking for more term on that deal. And when it didn't come, he kind of had to just go with, what was out there. But, and then Mangiapane, the dude's he's a great player, and playing up with McDavid and Draisaitl.
He looked good on that line the other night. Yep.
Yeah. So, my pick for this is, like you said, I'd probably wait in game to decide if I'm going to go Edmonton money line. But going over 5.5, I think, without a doubt.
There's your alternative option, what Robert likes, and that's if you like Edmonton pregame and you really want to bet Edmonton pregame, maybe go team total instead, over 3.5 with Edmonton plus 120. Pretty good price there. And more often than not, Edmonton, when they win games, they get to 4 goals. Sometimes they won't, but majority of the time they will. By the way, for those of you concerned about Shesterkin and net, because we know when he's on, he can be one of the best goalies in the NHL. He's actually struggled in his career with Edmonton. 3.65 goals against average, 869 save percentage for Igor Shesterkin against the Oilers. So this has not been one of the teams he's fared as well against in the past. All right, this is the first of tonight's ESPN Tuesday night NHL doubleheader. Tampa Bay and Washington, even money, minus 110 both sides. 5.5 the total, 6 in some spots. So shop around to find, if you like the under, get a 6. If you like the over, get a 5.5. There's no reason you shouldn't get a bad number here, regardless of which side of the total you like in this game. And this game I like over for one reason. Tampa Bay, man, they are scoring 3-0 to the over this season. Andrei Vasilevsky was rested yesterday so that he could play in this game tonight for the Tampa Bay Lightning. He has not looked great early. He has not looked good. He's not looked sharp. 5 goals allowed in each of his first 2 starts. He gave up 5 to Ottawa in that loss to the Senators. And even in the game after that against New Jersey, 5 goals there as well against the Devils. So he's not and remember, there was a little bit of an injury scare in preseason and training camp with Vasilevsky, and you wonder if these early season struggles he's having is linked to that in some form. So until he works his way out of it, and gets back on his top form, I'm okay, especially at a 5.5, looking at a Tampa Bay game over the total right now, even with him in net. Now, Washington is the concern. Washington's played tighter checking games. Their offense hasn't been firing on all cylinders right now. But with a vulnerable Vasi, and here's another thing, too. I don't want to pin it all on Andrei Vasilevsky. This Tampa blue line has looked a little pedestrian, a little slow. I don't like the way they've defended. There's been some missed assignments. Multiple games I've watched them play this season in the D zone. So it's not like, it's not like they are helping out their goaltender as well as they should be defensively in their own zone right now. So I think you put it all together here, and I think at 5.5 we can get this thing up and over the total. Sidewise, Washington on a back-to-back. They played Tampa Bay, I should say, on a back-to-back. They beat Boston yesterday. Washington with the rest advantage. I kind of lean Washington, but I think the over's the better look here. 5.5 in this game. I think the Capitals get their offense going here at home. One thing about Carberry that he said after the Ranger win on Sunday, 1-0 shutout, and Charlie Lindgren was spectacular. They actually got outplayed. Rangers deserved a better fate. Rangers outshot the Capitals, but Lindgren was spectacular in that game. He said we need to be more assertive and play more in the offensive zone. So when I hear that from the coach, it makes me think more aggressiveness coming for the Washington Capitals offensively here tonight after the 1-0 win against the Rangers, where they really did get outplayed and got away with one. So over 5.5 for me here in this one. Alex, Lightning Capitals.
This is where we head over to MGM and use the old parlay. Caps and over 4.5 plus 130. I'm loving that play quite a bit, actually. Like I said, this is Vasilevsky that has looked quite shaky, and maybe he's, like I said, hiding and dealing with an injury or some kind of an issue. That's not good. Like I said, you got a weaker blue line, a weaker bottom six. Anthony Cirelli looked like Stevie Wonder at the faceoff dot yesterday. It was just absolutely insane. Either he was losing draws or he's getting kicked out. And it's just like, what? And at crucial times, too. That's the reason why. Yeah. And it's the reason why Boston had chances to get back in that game, especially late. Ending to see that because you usually have those consistencies from Tampa. You can rely on Vasilevsky. You can rely on their defense and their bottom six to do their jobs. When they're not playing well, that's rough. And like you said, the top core can only do so much as far as scoring goals. So that over, I definitely like that. I would lean with a 5.5 as well. But like I said, I like that parlay even more. So caps and over plus 130 at BetMGM pregame parlay with the over 4.5.
All right, Washington and over 4.5 at plus money there for Alex with his bet here for Lightning Capitals. Patrick, what do you think here? Tampa Bay, Washington.
I like Tampa Bay. I think the first couple of games of the season, historically, they've usually gotten off to a slow start. It's tough to blame them. They got the sunshine down there, riding their jet skis to the practice rink and to the games and everything. So I think it takes them a few days to get into that ready to compete mode that you need to be in. So huge win for them yesterday. The offense seemed to be clicking. So I look for that to continue. I like Tampa money line and over 5.5 for the game. I think Washington's going to at least pot a couple, but Tampa just so much offense, and Kucherov hasn't even been Kuch mode yet. So,
right.
He's ready to pop off too.
Yeah, as far as props, Gonzalez I like for value for Tampa. I got to admit, our guy, the Beauvillier, believe it or not, looks like he might get some top-line work tonight with Ovechkin and Strome. He's been playing there a little bit here the last couple games. Scored a goal the other night, so Beauvillier is certainly going to get the opportunity. Protas, of course, I'm always interested when it comes to finding the back of the net for Washington. We've got the season-long goal prop for him, which I really liked. I mentioned it on not only the Capitals preview video with Nikita Kashersky, but I also mentioned it on the Eastern Conference season preview as well. And Protas, we expect to have another very good offensive season.
We know what happens once Anthony Beauvillier scores a goal, right?
Yeah, he'll
go like the next 20 games and do absolutely nothing. He'll become the king of cardio once again.
Oh yeah,
so be careful.
Oh yeah, that's the concern. You know what you're getting into when you're betting on Anthony Beauvillier to do something off a high, which is, of course, scoring the last game. You're right. You know what you're getting into. But when you see him on the top line, playing with Strome and Ovechkin, you got to take a shot. And if he goes back to sleep again, so be it. In this one, Vasilevsky and Logan Thompson confirmed starting goaltenders here. And yes, PLD, you down with PLD? Yeah, you know me. Pierre-Luc Dubois out for the Capitals. Strome, McMichael, LaPierre, and Dowd going to be the center ice spot here for tonight for the Washington Capitals in this game. All right, Nashville, Toronto. We've got the Leafs minus 180, home favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. And this is a very interesting one. Nashville and the Toronto both playing back-to-back. Predators off a win against Ottawa 4-1. Leafs off a frustrating loss at home against the Red Wings 3-2, where they should have won the game. What was it, 40-plus shots, 15, deserved a better fate. Did the Toronto Maple Leafs in that game. We'll see how this one plays out. Obviously, you've got a battle of backup goaltenders here in this one. Useless Onanen. Eustace, of course. I call him Useless, Patrick, just in case you're wondering. I call him Useless Onanen. I think he's not that good. I've not seen enough of him in the positive to not go with that as a moniker for him. But like I said, Eustace Onanen for Nashville and net, and it will be Caden Primo making his first start here for the Toronto Maple Leafs. They claimed him off waivers just prior to the start of the season, with Joseph Woll still out indefinitely, tending to a personal matter, and it's obviously a very serious personal matter for him to be out this long, no question about it. So they had to get a goal, and they didn't want to make Dennis Hildeby the backup. They just wanted Dennis Hildeby to be playing every day or every other day down in the American Hockey League with the Toronto Marlies. I'm a bit surprised by that, because I think Dennis Hildeby is a better goalie than even right now than Caden Primo. But nevertheless, they decided Caden Primo's got a bunch of games under his belt at the NHL level. He's been in this kind of role before. That being said, the numbers for Caden Primo indicate that while he's been great in the AHL, those NHL numbers just haven't been great. The last year with Montreal, he got into 11 games, 4.69 goals against average, 836 save percentage. This total is definitely been adjusted to 6.5 because Nashville 6.5s don't seem right, in my opinion. Nashville's not usually a team I'm like, yeah, let's run to bet an over 6.5 in a Nashville game, because to me, they don't consistently score enough. And sometimes when they have their defensive game, and specifically Saros playing well, they can be, like yesterday, goes under. The Utah game, Nashville. Nashville's 3-0 to the under this year. The Nashville-Columbus game stayed under. The Nashville-Utah game stayed under. Nashville-Ottawa stayed under. But with Saros playing great yesterday, it's kind of a downgrade to Onanen. It's a downgrade, obviously, from Stolarz to Primo. And then I just had to look back to the game log of Primo with Montreal last year. He made, I'm just counting it up. Yeah, those 11 appearances with Montreal last year. Let me give you the final score of all of those Caden Primo starts last year with Montreal. And you're going to know what this means when I mention every final score where he played for Montreal. The final scores last year when Caden Primo started in net for Montreal: 6-4, 4-3, 7-2, 4-3, 8-2, 6-3, 7-5, 6-2, 4-3, 6-3, 9-2. That's 11 games appeared. 11 games that he has appeared in net for Montreal last year, Primo, and all 11 of them had a minimum of 7 goals in the game. Wow. And that was just doing some extra digging into the game log last year for Caden Primo. 7+ goals in all 11 Caden Primo starts last year in the game. So I don't think I'm getting the value I was hoping for. I'm still dabbling in it over 6.5 here. I'm keeping it small, though. I don't love that it's 6. I was hoping for 6 or 5.5. Didn't get it. They adjusted. But that's hard to deny that there's been 7 goals or more in these Caden Primo starts last year. I know Nashville's capable of tightening it up defensively. And maybe the Leafs do tighten it up in front of Primo and really put an emphasis on playing strong, not having him face as much rubber, as many shots tonight here in this game. But I'm going to dabble in that over 6.5. I don't hate the Nashville team total over 2.5 either in this game, just because, Primo, the stat that Jonathan Davis in our chat mentioned, that Primo has allowed 3 goals or more in 14 of his last 16 starts. 3 goals or more. So all you need is 3 goals out of Nashville for them to go over their team total of 2.5. But I'm going to dabble in that over 6.5 here, just small. I mean, that's hard to deny that. 7 goals minimum in every Caden Primo game that he started for Montreal last year. Alex, what do you think here? Preds, Leafs.
I grabbed Nashville team total over 2.5 -125. Love that play. Also, we'll be grabbing the over, but I'm going to wait in game, try and grab a 6 at -120, 125.
Yeah, if I see a live 5.5 at some point, I'll add a bit more. That's why I'm only going small at 6.5. My thought is, maybe at least in the onset, Primo's going to come up with a couple early saves. The teams are going to try to protect these 2 goalies because Onninen's numbers haven't been great. We know Primo struggled at the NHL level. And then if it falls to 5.5, the in-game live total, then maybe I'll add a little bit more if I see a 5.5 at some point. Patrick, what do you think here? You're right on the scene, and that obviously it's in Toronto this game, but you're obviously very privy to what the Predators are doing. What do you think here, Preds, Leafs?
Yeah, I don't know. I know you just rattled off all those stats with Primo and the backup goaltending and the struggle with stopping the puck, but Nashville, they're not a fast team. I don't see them generating enough offense. Now, yeah, they scored 4 yesterday or the day before, whenever they played, but 2 were empty netters. I don't know. I have a tough time seeing the total going over 6.5. But again, could be one of those in-game bets where they pop one quick and you hop on it. I actually do have a player prop. I got Yossi scoring in this game. He hasn't scored yet this year. And he was a plus 475 anytime goal scorer. And I think that he's just too good offensively to stay off the score sheet. I think big game in Toronto, riding the high off a big win in Ottawa. I think that he finds the back of the net. So that's my shot in the dark player prop. And then I don't know. It's tough to take Toronto or tough to take Nashville money line. Toronto coming off a loss, just knowing Craig Berube, the message he's going to send to his team. I don't think 2 losses in a row. But they're 1-2 to start the season, right? They're off to a slow start. So I just can't imagine that they're going to, drop 3 of their first 4 games.
Yeah, I don't want any part of Nashville money line, even at plus 150. That's why I love team total. This could easily be a Toronto 6-4 kind of a game if it gets out of hand, because, like I said, these are just 2 goalies you simply can't trust. And I know that, like I said, Nashville, like I said, much slower than Toronto. But Toronto, if they get on the board early and they draw the fight with Nashville, then Nashville's going to have to try to keep pace, and that's when this game can get out of hand. So that's the kind of pace I see. So yeah, money line. It's not an underdog looking spot backing the team total. It's more of a just we're kind of fading the goaltender who's a favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt. So Nashville team total over 2.5 for Alex. He really likes that. I'm going to dabble in the over 6.5, maybe add a live over 5.5, depending on how the game's going. There are a couple props that I do like here in this game. Nashville, that's a good one from Patrick there about Yossi, and certainly a good price there. I'm looking at a couple. I'm looking at Joakim Kamel here for the Nashville Predators. It sounds to me like he might get a top-line look here tonight for this team. I'm seeing that he might get moved up there with Forsberg and O'Reilly. By the way, O'Reilly's probably worth a look just because of the fact, he's back in Toronto, former team Angle. It seems like he always scores against the Leafs too, or at least he's done it before multiple times. So O'Reilly Auto Parts, haven't done that yet this year. He might be worth a look here in this as well. And then for Toronto, I'm going to go back to Easton Cowan. Easton Cowan did look. Nobody was finding the back of the net yesterday. The puck just didn't go in, other than the two they got. But Easton Cowan looked really good with Matthew Nyes and Austin Matthews yesterday on that top line. It looked like there was chemistry. It looked like he was fitting in well, and the coach, Craig Berube, agreed with it. He had a great quote about Cowan's performance his first game up on the top line with Matthew Nyes and Austin Matthews, saying, great game. 5-foot passes all over the ice. He's totally different than last year. Way more confident, direct, skating way better, said Craig Berube post-game about Easton Cowan yesterday for Toronto. So goal prop, assist prop for me with Easton Cowan. And again, you're getting the value too because he's moved up to that top line. And as usual, the pricing of his player prop is not accounting for it well enough. Plus 340 for him to score a goal, and plus 230 in some spots for him to get an assist. So you're getting really good value with Cowan on that top line. All right, Seattle and Montreal. We've got Montreal minus 150, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Home opener for Montreal after a solid start to the season on the road, where they had the tough loss to Toronto, where I thought they played well enough to win, and then they bounced back. They hammered Detroit 5-1. They get one against Chicago 3-2 over the weekend. So now back home for their home opener against Seattle. I think Montreal's the better team. I could consider them, but I also said, you know what? Seattle's played better than I expected. Been good defensively. Joey Decord's off to an amazing start in net. They're plus 130. Let's not bet against them. Seattle's feeling good right now, and they beat obviously Anaheim, who we think are improved this year. And Seattle beat them. Vegas is a damn good team. Seattle beat them. So I'm willing to say, you know what? Seattle's feeling their oats right now. They're playing better than I anticipated they would play coming into the season. Let's not fade them yet. Let's see if this little hot start continues. Let's wait for the stumble. Let's wait for the stumble from Seattle before we get in there and bet against them. That's kind of my thought here in my approach with Seattle right now. So I don't have a whole lot on this game when it's all said and done. Maybe the draw, possibly. What's very interesting is Seattle and Montreal last year, these meetings between and the Habs, I think both of them went over the total, but I'm not sure I'm in love with the over tonight. Remember, that's the Dan Biles-McCracken team that was playing much more faster paced, much more offensive minded. And this year with Lane Lambert, and we're not at all shocked by this, anyone that knows Lane Lambert and the way the Islanders played under him when he was the head coach there knows that it's going to be kitty bar the door hockey. Figure out your D zone first. Take care of the defensive zone first. Take care of the front of your own net first, and then let the offense stem from the way you play defensively in your own end. That's the way it's going to be with Seattle. They've established themselves that that's how they're going to play, because these have been not even close, these first 2 games, to going over the total against Anaheim and Vegas, and Decord playing well. So pretty neutral on both the side and the total in this game. There are some props I like. Shane Wright has an axe to grind against Montreal. I don't know. Maybe he's gotten over it by now. I hope so. But obviously, they passed on him in the draft. You're getting a good price on him playing in Montreal tonight to maybe find the back of the net for Seattle. And how do you not ride Zach Bolduc right now? This guy, every game, is scoring goals for Montreal. We love the addition and the trade that Kent Hughes pulled off to bring him in from the St. Louis Blues. Really, really gives them another big-time weapon in the top 6, and still getting good prices. They're adjusting a little bit, but for a guy that's been finding the back of the net in every game so far, and you can still get plus 270 on him to score, 100%. It's got to be worth a bet there, Bolduc, to keep the red-hot start going here for Montreal. Alex, your thoughts on this one, Seattle-Montreal?
Yeah, I took a flyer with Kirby Doc to get a goal. I've got a gut feeling that he could get on the board tonight for the Habs. But I like this game with the draw. I grabbed plus 333. That's available at BetMGM. It's the best price available. I see 320 is over at FanDuel. But what I have at FanDuel, of course, is game to go to overtime and the game-winning goal scorer, Uri Slavkovsky, at 70-1.
Right, that's wow. Uri Slavkovsky, 70-1 for that. That's a good price on that, no doubt. And Slavkovsky's one of these. It's a tough person to figure out. when he gets on a little bit of a roll, look out, and then he can kind of go quiet for games on end. So we'll see what we get here from Slavkovsky tonight. I forgot to mention just one last thing going back to Nashville, Toronto. He used to be a Predator. He scored in every goal in game for Toronto this year. I'm going back to Callie Yarncroke for the Toronto Maple Leafs at 10-1 to score tonight. Plus 1,000. It was on the Patreon card yesterday. For those of you that are Patreon members, I put that in there. Should have used it as my bargain bin special. I considered it, but I didn't. But it was on the card. I bet it. It was 11-1. Callie Yarncroke to score yesterday, and he scored one of the 2 goals against Detroit. I'm coming back to it. He scored in every game this year. It's crazy. Callie Yarncroke. Every Leaf game, he's found the back of the net. He's still plus 1,000 to find the back of the net tonight. So rolling with that once again. So just wanted to mention that about the Nashville-Toronto game. Patrick, anything you like here? Kraken Canadians.
Yeah, I like low scoring. Seattle, seeing them beat a Vegas team that it's like an NHL All-Star team over there. 2-1. They limit him to under 30 shots. It's not easy to do. That shows a commitment to team defense. So, they had a really rough season last year. Obviously, new coaching this year. So I think that they're going to, stay committed to the defensive play and really limit Montreal. And same thing with, knowing how Marty St. Louis likes to coach and his attention to detail. I would stay away from, personally myself, going with the over. I just think it's going to be a tight checking, low scoring game, similar to what we've seen so far this season with Seattle and Montreal, aside from that 1-5 goal game that they put up. But yeah, I like low scoring. In terms of who I'm taking, I don't know. It's a toss up. I haven't seen both teams play enough to be confident one way or another. That would be one of those in-game bets, seeing how it starts off the first period and, maybe play something then. But yeah, like you said, I'm kind of staying away from this one too.
It's been a weird series history. Montreal swept Seattle in the 2 games 2 years ago, and last year Seattle swept Montreal in the 2 games, and it was 8-2 in Montreal for Seattle last year. So, like I said, definitely a situation where series history kind of fluctuates as well. So that's why it's a tricky side. I think Montreal's the better team. If you force me to bet the side, I'd take Montreal. I don't like the price enough. And look, Seattle's feeling, hey, we're pretty good right now. So, let them ride out the hot streak. If they start to stumble, if we find a particularly bad spot for Seattle to bet against them, then we'll bet against them. Tonight, I don't feel comfortable doing it. All right, Vegas and Calgary. We've got Vegas minus 170, road favorites, 5.5 the total here in this game. Make sure this is another one where 5.5, 6 on some books. So shop around depending on which part of the total you like here in this game. I hate to pick on Calgary, but I'm picking on Calgary again. We had St. Louis against them on Saturday. I think Vegas, a tough loss to Seattle in overtime over the weekend. Looking to bounce back. This is just going to be a Vegas, -1 puck line and Vegas team total over 3.5 split for me here in this game against the Calgary Flames. Just split it up between puck line and team total. Obviously, rather have the puck line than lay the -170 with them. I know it's our guy in net for the Calgary Flames, hungry like the wolf, Dustin Wolf, but hasn't been the best of starts for him this season for the Calgary Flames. 1-2, .865 save percentage, 3.98 goals against average here in the early part of the season for Dustin Wolf. I don't want to really lay it all at his feet. I think part of it is this Calgary blue line's got concerns, all over it. In my opinion, when you look at Calgary going into this season, other than Rasmus Anderson, who we like, and Mackenzie Weegar, you're asking for big minutes out of Kevin Ball, Joel Hanley, Daniil Miramonov, who wasn't even starting the season as one of the regular 6 on the blue line. There's a lot of holes and a lot of question marks on that back end right now for the Calgary Flames. And that's concerning when you've got a Vegas team off the first game this year where they've been shut down. But we know they're a better offensive team than that. I want to point out a line change. Bruce Cassidy looks like he could be shaking things up. Talked about how close shave Barbashev, Ivan Barbashev, Jack Eichel, and Mitch Marner has been the top line. He might experiment, it sounds like, with putting Mark Stone with Eichel and Barbashev and moving Marner to the Hurdle Dorofeyev line here tonight. Not for sure. keep an eye on that. I don't know why he would do that, but because it's been pretty good so far. Maybe he didn't like what he saw against Seattle. And I think in that Seattle game when they were struggling to score, that's when he kind of made the change in game toward the end of the Seattle game. So keep an eye on that. But, you expect a Vegas team off a 1-goal performance against Seattle in a loss to want to bounce back. Yeah, Jonathan saw the same thing as me. That Stone was on the top line there for Vegas against Seattle. But again, early in the season, coaches often want to experiment, and maybe it's just a matter of that being the case. So, for me, Vegas -1, team total over 3.5 split in this game. I don't mind the full game over, too. I just wonder how much scoring Calgary's going to do. Alex, what do you think here? Golden Knights, Flames.
It's just funny that they would look at, shifting around the Dorofeyev line where he's been absolutely hot, moving Mark Stone around. And then you still got a guy like Brandon Saad who can't find the net if it was doubled in size on your top six. Like, maybe that has something to do with it. I don't know. But they need to change some things up, honestly, to get their offense. Because we know they have the talent. And they have the horses to consistently score 4 or 5 goals a night, and this should be a game where they do that. Like I said, even though it is against Dustin Wolf, but that blue line for Calgary is still shaky and questionable. And if you get enough shots fired at Wolf, he will give up some goals. So this is what I want to just wait and see. It's a pass for now. I'll be watching it and maybe look for some things live, and I'll of course post that on the Patreon and the chats.
I think I got a sprinkle. I'm looking at the series history now, even closer, that it's right in front of me here with all these million pages of notes that I've got open. Calgary, Vegas, the 2 games last year in Calgary between these teams, they both went past regulation. Vegas has gone past regulation in all 3 games so far this year. Calgary's gone past regulation in 1 of their 3 games. I've got to dabble on the draw. Like I said, I'm very light in my volume of draw bets early in the NHL season. I usually bet more draws later in the season as we build up more data and more of a track record of these teams. But with Vegas going to overtime in every game, Calgary's gone to overtime already once this year, and then both games in Calgary went to overtime last year. That's a pretty strong track record for the draw. So I'm going to dabble in the Vegas-Calgary draw here tonight.
That's bad news if it happens, because Vegas needs a blowout win in this spot, I feel like. But yeah, like I said, you have to go with that trend. That makes sense.
Plus 330 is what we're looking at here with the draw with the Golden Knights and the Flames. Patrick, what do you like in here? Vegas, Calgary.
Yeah, I like Vegas all the way here. Coming off that 2-1 loss, too much firepower on offense. I think 1 goal for the last game. It's just tough to see that happening 2 games in a row with what they have in their lineup. I've got Vegas over 3.5 goals. It's light. It's only plus 100 right now. I'm on DraftKings Sportsbook right now, but I got them puck line as well, +1 or -1.5. I think that they're going to really bounce back, and their feet are going to be moving. If Calgary takes penalties, that power play, holy smokes, it's lethal. So that's what I'm going with. Vegas puck line and over 3.5 goals for.
All right, there you go. I think Vegas, like I said, with Vegas, when they win games this year, they're going to go over 3.5 a lot. That they're one of these teams with the improvements of offensively. You're automatically a better offensive team just by adding a 100-point player, like Mitch Marner. So that's why often the team total is the better bet, just because of the better price you get compared to the money line. All right, Minnesota and Dallas should be a good one. This is the second game of tonight's ESPN Tuesday doubleheader. Dallas -190, home favorites, 5.5 the total in this game. Very, very low scoring series history between the Wild and the Stars. That's one of the things I've noted when I looked at this game. But with the Minnesota scoring, I think they haven't been as airtight defensively as they need to be here in the first couple of games. I think Dallas is playing at one of the most brisk, furious tempos and paces of the early season that I've seen. Under Glenn Gulletson, they look like they've cranked it up even more. Like, we're going to let the horses out of the stable even more than maybe Peter DeBoer did when he was the head coach. Like, I have been impressed with just the relentless forecheck, the aggressiveness that the Dallas Stars have shown offensively the first few games. At 5.5, and there is still some 5.5s with this total. I had to play some over. 5.5 minus 135 here. I know all the games went under last year, Dallas and Minnesota, but like I say, with the pace we're seeing from Dallas, and they're obviously putting the puck in the net, no issues doing that so far. Gustafsson, by the way, will be in net for the Wild. They gave Volstead the start yesterday, so you're going to last night, so you're going to see Gustafsson tonight. Jake Ottinger has been confirmed already for Dallas in net, but I'll grab a little over 5.5 here. My one concern is obviously how low scoring the series history has been, but to me, Minnesota looks like the power play has been lethal. That's another thing for the Minnesota Wild. Their power play has just been red hot to start the year. That's going to be key, Jonathan, for Dallas. 1,000% correct. You better stay out of the box. We're finding that out quickly. LA found that out the hard way last night. But yeah, with a 5.5 being offered, I'm playing over. I think Minnesota's defensive game has not been locked down so far. They're scoring goals. Their power play's good. And Dallas, to me, they're playing at a very brisk pace right now. And obviously, we know how good they are as far as putting the puck in the net. All they've done here in the first 2 games is score 5 goals, in each of the first 2 wins against Colorado and Winnipeg. So going to give me a 5.5. I'm taking over. Alex, what do you think? Minnesota, Dallas.
I'm on Dallas Stars team total over 3.5 plus 100, and my bargain bin special comes from this game.
All right, Patrick, what do you like in here? Wild Stars.
I like overtime, Dallas at home, but yeah, I'm going with the over as well. I can see it. I'm going to go exact score 3-3 OT, and Dallas wins at 4-3. So very specific with that, but I so much offense, so much firepower. Kaprizov, that guy's not so bad. Rantanen with Dallas. I mean, I haven't watched much of their games this year, but every time I look at the stat line, he's all over the score sheet. I just think there's so much offense. I know this series history shows lower scoring games, but I don't know, 5.5. Tough to take the under on that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 4 meetings last year, they all stayed under. 2-1, 3-2, 3-0, 3-2. I get that. But I always say what I'm seeing in current form supersedes past history. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of where I'm at. I know it was a 4-0 to the under last year, these 2 teams, but boy, oh boy, I mean, Minnesota, like I said, they're scoring. They got a better offensive team this year, Minnesota, than last year. And I think defensively, I've not loved what I've seen. And then, of course, Dallas has been just a machine offensively. But I think they're going to get tested, too, by Minnesota here. So, like I said, over 5.5 for me. I think you just became a bigger fan, Patrick, for Alex. Alex is liking you more now after that correct score prop recommendation. That's an Alex
we love it.
Special right there, yeah.
4-3 OT.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Alex loves his correct score props, no question. All right, as far as props quickly for this game, let me just see here what we got. I think there was a couple from, obviously, if you go with Boldy and Rossi, either goal assist or both, goal and assist for both of those guys right now, you really can't go wrong. They've been great. That line's been terrific. Hartman's the one I'd maybe look at for a value-laden prop for Minnesota. He's capable. For the Dallas Stars, it looks like tonight, once again, eventually Sam Steele's going to get on the board. If they maintain his spot with Roope Hintz and Mikko Rantanen on the top line, Sam Steele is eventually going to make good with it. And I like that putting on the Ritz, Justin Ritskovian has been moved up to the second line with Duchesne and Seguin here for the Dallas Stars. And another thing to factor in, you talk about streaking goal scorer props and wanting to back them. Forgot to mention, by the way, Dorofeyev in the Vegas game. I mean, it's hard not to bet him to score. He scored in every game. So is Jason Robertson. Now, the price isn't great, plus 180, but he scored in every game this year as well. And he scored in 5 straight games going back to the playoffs last year for the Dallas Stars. So that's 5 straight games with a goal for Jason Robertson going into this game tonight. So we'll see if he keeps that goal streak going. All right, Carolina, San Jose. Carolina minus 280, road favorite, 6.5 the total here in this game. Big injury news for Carolina. No Jacob Slavin tonight. He's obviously the one of the best defensemen, certainly shutdown defensemen in the NHL. Lower body injury. He didn't practice yesterday. That was kind of a sure sign right there. He'd be out and at least miss the first game of this road trip in San Jose. Now, again, he's a guy that in the regular season last year, 27 points in 80 games, just 6 goals. not going to give you a ton of offense, but you lose a lot. You lose defense when Jacob Slavin is off the ice. And not to mention, are you weaker defensively without him? You've got to ask the rest of your D-core to fill those minutes, fill those roles, especially with the PK as well. And we know how just immense he is on the penalty kill. So now that means, Mike Riley, veteran defenseman, is going to draw in. Jalen Chatfield's going to have to pull more weight. Shane Gostisbehere is going to have to pull more weight. Alexander Nikishin is going to have to pull more weight. Sean Walker is going to have to pull more weight. And Keandre Miller might have to pull a lot of weight, because he's the guy that looks like has been tabbed to take the spot of Jacob Slavin on that top pairing here tonight for the Carolina Hurricanes. So maybe that opens the door, too, for value with props for a guy like Keandre Miller, too. You look at the lineup here, and I'm looking at it on RotoWire right now. He's going to play, obviously, on the power play unit. Looks like they've still got him for the second power play unit. They've still got Gostisbehere as the guy that's going to lead the top power play unit, but certainly Keandre Miller is going to be bet the over. If you can find these ice time props, I don't know if they have them for every game. I know in the playoffs there were some sites that had them, but over ice time on Keandre Miller makes a ton of sense tonight, if there was such a thing to be able to bet that prop. So no Slavin, that certainly will hurt Carolina defensively. And how about this decision? Kochekhov's still on IR. Rod Brindamore's adamant we're not running Freddie Anderson into the ground early in the season at this stage of his career. So Brandon Bussey is going to get his first start here for the Carolina Hurricanes. He is going to get the nod in net for them in this game. It's his NHL debut. He's currently the backup to Anderson with Pyotr Kochetkov on injured reserve. He appeared in with Providence. Remember, he was in the Bruins organization before this, so he was with the Providence Bruins last year and most of the last 3 seasons. And during that span, 15, 14, and 3, 907 save percentage, 2.77 goals against average last year for Providence. So we'll see how he fares here. Brandon Bussey in his first NHL start in net for Carolina. It'll be Nedeljkovic, Alex Nedeljkovic in net for the San Jose Sharks, following it was a horror show. Patrick, I don't know if you saw at the end of that Vegas-San Jose game last week, but it was just a nightmarish ending for Nedeljkovic. The crazy bounce on the Eichel tying goal just took a crazy hop in the middle of the ice and bounced the other way and past Nedeljkovic. You didn't see that bounce coming, and then the terrible giveaway, obviously in overtime for Vegas to win it. So that's the last time we saw him. So you talk about a guy wanting to bounce back and play better. You certainly will want to. He's a former Carolina Hurricane, so gets to play the team he started his NHL career with as well. I think with the fact that they're starting this road trip, San Jose, I don't trust them for 60 minutes. I don't trust San Jose for 60 minutes with what I've seen. They've had collapses against Vegas, collapses against the collapse against Anaheim, the game after that, where they led 5-3 and they lost 7-6 in overtime. This is definitely a team that at the moment, they're definitely having some defensive issues, defensive concerns, not able to hold leads. But one thing I've noticed here with San Jose is against Anaheim, they scored twice in the opening period. Against Vegas, they scored in the opening period. I think I like San Jose to score a goal in the first period tonight. No Slavin, test Brandon Bussey, a shameful loss against Anaheim. In the last game where you had a 5-3 lead and you couldn't hold on. Sharks to score in the first period. I really like that. And that's the best. That if you're going to take San Jose, to me, that's the best approach. Because I don't know if I trust them for 60 minutes. I don't, because they've obviously had issues protecting leads. But they've gotten off to great starts in these first 2 home games. They've scored in the opening 20 minutes in both of these first 2 games. And with Bussey and net, first NHL start, maybe early game jitters, San Jose beats them. And again, without Slavin on the ice, it's your best shutdown defenseman. So to me, there's going to be opportunities here for San Jose early in this game to be able to possibly pounce and find the back of the net early here in this game. So I also like over by Fecta. I mean, the San Jose games, both first period over, full game over have hit. But more than I actually like San Jose's team total in the first period to get on the board in the first period, probably more than anything else in this game. And it's a reasonable minus 130 right now for San Jose to get on the board in the opening period. I like that. I think they come out with some good energy. Carolina starting this road trip, adjustments on the back end, goalie making his first appearance in the NHL. I think it's very plausible San Jose can score in the first period of this game. So I like that team total, and we'll also get in a little bit on over by Fecta here with Carolina San Jose, and maybe keep that small, so in case a 5.5 appears in game, can always add a little bit more to the total in this one. Alex, what do you think? Hurricanes, Sharks.
I think this is going to be a rough one for the Canes. And I know they've done well in San Jose, but you kind of look back, there were times where San Jose, played Carolina tough. Games went past regulation. I like the draw here. I also like Nikolai Ehlers to get the game winner in this one. But I think this is going to be kind of a back and forth battle. I like that San Jose to score. So I'm going to be on San Jose to score first goal of the game, plus 130. First goal in first period, plus 170 as well. So I have, chop that up and play both of those spots. But I think this could be maybe a tight back and forth kind of a game that goes past 60 minutes. So I got the draw plus 390, and I think Ehlers wins for Carolina. Let me see, that exact price is, I believe, 80 to 1.
Wow. So that's Nikolai Ehlers.
65 to 1 for Nikolai Ehlers to get the game winner.
Wow. So Nikolai Ehlers to get the game-winning goal and Carolina to win, plus 6,500. One hell of a price with that. And you hit one of those already, right? Yeah, you did. It was the other day.
Dylan Guenther.
Dylan Guenther in Utah. Dylan Guenther over.
At 60 to 1.
Patrick hit this the other day, Alex. Dylan Guenther overtime winner and Utah to win on Saturday. It was against Nashville. Pretty crazy to see that. And he's going forward again here with Nikolai Ehlers and Carolina to win against San Jose at plus 6,500. Patrick, what do you like in here? Carolina, San Jose.
I'm looking at the numbers on the bottom of your screen right now, and a West Coast trip this early in the season, they had the last 2 days off. That's a green light if I've ever seen it, for them to go out and have a little bit of a good time. So,
and 2-0, right? It's not like this is max focus. You had two nice home wins to start the year. No urgency.
Yep. And San Jose, they've been at the bottom of the league now for the last several years, so it's easy for a team to enjoy the weather out there a little bit and not be so focused on your opponent. So, I don't know. I think this could be one San Jose squeaks out at plus 240. I don't hate it. They lost both of their games in overtime. To take Vegas to overtime is really good, and they got a lot of really young talent. They're a fast team, so I could totally see San Jose taking this one at plus 240. And then for the total, 6.5. I would wait in game, see if that drops down to a 6, maybe a 5.5. But I like San Jose at plus 240. I don't think they're going to be as bad this year as people think. I think they're going to be much better than not playoffs, right? Not playoffs. I'm not getting ahead of
playoffs. You kidding me?
Yeah. But no, I think they're going to be a tough test for a lot of teams this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, no doubt. I'm going to go with Svechnikov, Stankov, and Blake. I like that line to contribute for Carolina. For San Jose, obviously I like him to score in the first period. Tyler Toffoli's up on the top line now with Celebrini and Eklund. How about the other Skinner? Jeff Skinner.
I was about to say, yep.
Yeah, he scored a goal already this year for San Jose, and it looks like he's going to be alongside Wenberg and Will Smith on the second line. And it looks like now, I thought he would get in right away because I know he made the roster, but I guess they decided, we'll just let him watch a couple games from the press box. But tonight will be the NHL debut of the 18-year-old center for San Jose, Michael Misa. He is going to make his Sharks debut tonight, and it looks like he's going to play on the third line for them tonight alongside Philip Kurashev, Alex's favorite player in the world, Philip Kurashev, former Blackhawk, and Ty Dellandrea. That looks like that's going to be your third line here for San Jose tonight.
Just want to make a quick note, too. And I did have Keandre Miller, anytime goal, plus 600. Shout out to Robert in the chat. We were talking about that before the show. Like I said, with him moving up. Any of his props look good, but that's the one I did grab. I got plus 600.
Yeah. Always potential when you're talking about a defenseman props that maybe they set up more than they score. But I do want to point out, Keandre Miller does have 2 goals already this season. for the Carolina Hurricanes. Both of them came against New Jersey.
Yeah,
So
still
keep an eye on
500-1 for the Norris.
Yeah, that's right.
So
You took a flyer on
I
Keandre
took a
Miller
flyer
at
on that, and it's still
Carolina.
that price. So maybe
Yep.
now, if he's getting top line minutes, if Slavin's out for a while, he moves up to the top line, continues
Yep.
to score. That number may shrink a bit. So
Certainly, opportunity arises here for Keandre Miller. He's going to take a lion's share of those minutes that Jacob Slavin plays on the back end for the Carolina Hurricanes now that he's on that top pair. All right, our final game of this Tuesday slate, Pittsburgh-Anaheim. Anaheim minus 140, home favorites, 6 the total here in this game. Look, we've got Anaheim over point total, Anaheim to make the playoffs, a lot of different Anaheim preseason futures. I like that they bounced back from a tough loss against Seattle where I thought they outplayed the Kraken, outshot the Kraken, but ran into a red-hot Joey Daccord and a stifling Seattle team that just the puck didn't go in. They lost 3-1. They bounced back. I guess bounced back loosely, I use that term, because they didn't play great 60 minutes, but what I like is they were down 5-3 and they found a way. Even as that game was ugly and back and forth and very sloppy, the bottom line is Anaheim found a way. And got the win there, 7-6 in overtime against Anaheim or against San Jose. Leo Carlsson getting the overtime winner. Chris Kreider looks like he's fitting in nicely. A couple of goals for him, the veteran against San Jose in that comeback victory. Pittsburgh with Dan Muse, they've played solid to begin the year, 2-1. They beat the Rangers, beat the Islanders, but they lost to the Rangers 6-1 in their last game on Saturday. I like Anaheim a lot. This year, I think they're going to be improved. We like the hire of Coach Quenneville, all that, Coach Q. I'm not ready there yet with Anaheim at a minus 140 price, though, all that being said. That's kind of where I'm at here. Like, this is where I pump the brakes. I'm not there yet with Anaheim. I like Anaheim a lot. You guys know that. I'm not there at minus 140. I'm not saying, I'm ready to lay minus 140 yet with this Anaheim team. What I'm actually maybe kind of hoping for is that maybe Anaheim loses this game, and then they play in Pittsburgh, I think, next week. And it could be a nice little spot to back the Ducks at a better price when they go to Pittsburgh, next week, if they drop this game tonight to the Penguins. So we'll see how it plays out. I'm waiting on goalie confirmations before I make an official move on this game. Lukas Dostal is confirmed in net for Anaheim. He started the Seattle game, but again, not his fault. They didn't score in that game. Tristan Jarry is projected tonight, but not confirmed as of yet here for the Pittsburgh Penguins. But so far this year, it was Shilovs for the first game against the Rangers. They went to Jarry against the Islanders, and then it was back to Shilovs against the Rangers in the second game. So if Dan Muse holds true to form, going interchanging his goalies, then maybe it is going to be Tristan Jarry tonight, but that is not confirmed. If it is Tristan Jarry confirmed, I've still got my doubts and about his level of consistency night in, night out. So maybe I get there with Anaheim team total over if Jarry is in net for Pittsburgh. But I'm waiting on that news. Alex, what do you think here? Final game of the night, Penguins, Ducks.
this is a pass for me. If I'm watching it late, I'll look for something live, but nothing pregame.
All right, Patrick, how about you? Pittsburgh, Anaheim.
I'm a Sid guy. It's tough to bet against Crosby. I don't know. I think Pittsburgh's going to do a lot better this year than people think. People are already talking about Crosby being traded, Malkin's his last year, Letang, this and that. But I think the three of those guys, like being together for 20 years, I think they want to put together one final kick at the can, one last season. I think there's extra motivation for them this year, and I think they're going to surprise a lot of people in a lot of games where they're the underdog. So it would not shock me at all if Pittsburgh ends up winning this game. I think they're going to be a lot of low-scoring games this year, but it's only been a few games, and I don't know if what I just said is actually – if I actually believe it or if I'm just saying it because I want it to be true. So, yeah, I don't know. Like Alex, I think I'm staying away from this one as well, but looking live, if, there's 2 goals in the first period, I might, take something in game. But, yeah, I don't know. It's just too early to tell if Anaheim's for real and if Pittsburgh, if they're just going to go back to the dumpster they've been the last couple of years.
Yeah, I agree with you that Pittsburgh, when I've just watched them, maybe there's hope for them to be at least modestly better than people thought. And you're right. With Anaheim, I'm just not comfortable yet at minus 140 with them. Good news for Pittsburgh, though. Brian Rust is back with Crosby and Raquel, so that definitely helps that top line out. Mantha, Malkin, Brazeau, the second line for them. Looks like Chris Letang day-to-day with a lower body injury. So keep an eye on that. He sustained that injury Saturday in the loss against the New York Rangers. So Chris Letang status in doubt. Yeah, I like Leo Carlsson for prop tonight. Patrick Murray, our guest here today, he might appreciate what I'm about to sing here with the prop that I'm going to take here for Anaheim as well. He scored in both of their games so far. Beckett Seneca Casino. I'm referencing.
Yeah, oh yeah,
there. Yeah, in Western New York. There, yeah. Beckett Seneca here for the Anaheim Ducks. Look, he scored in back-to-back games for this team. He's looked solid in his first 2 NHL games, and another player that has been able to find the back of the net each time his team has played. So, I'll dabble in that once again. Beckett Seneca here for Anaheim, plus 325, the best price that's out there for him to find the back of the net here tonight in this game. Cutter Gauthier, I don't argue with that either. Obviously, I think he's going to have a big offensive season. We know he's got a great release. This goes back to his BC days in college. And Cutter Gauthier starting to figure it out here as far as how to light the lamp at the NHL level. Great stuff, great show. We appreciate everyone joining us. Hit the like button if you haven't done so already. Patrick, great job on his Ice Guys show debut. Make sure you check out wizardsportspicks.com. Me, Alex, Matt Robinson, and a bunch of great handicappers there at the website. Premium picks available in all sports on a daily basis. Check it out, wizardsportspicks.com. And make sure you check out patreon.com/iceguys, just $10 per month. Again, daily betting cards, sides, totals, player props. You requested it. You asked us to do it this way, and I'm doing my best certainly to appease the masses. We're trying to get the card posted just a little bit earlier on a day in and day out basis, just to give you guys a little bit more time to get all of your wagers in for the NHL slate each and every day. So like I said, patreon.com/iceguys, $10 per month. Goalie charts, totals charts, all of our bonus content. You can watch Patrick Murray's great Players Suite episode that we recorded on the Patreon page as well. Our daily cards, sides, totals, player props every single day. Make sure you check it out. It's well worth it. Most of the bets that hit, more than make up for the $10 you spend per month to be a Patreon member. So check it out, just $10 per month. And to TransCanada, the link, I'll just repeat it. It's on the screen as well. Patreon.com/iceguys.
Yes, also check out the Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com. We've got all your merch you need right now, caps, hoodies, T-shirts, mugs. We've got babies merch as well. We've got everything. Check it out right now at the store. That's iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Are you able to stick around for another 5 minutes, Patrick? Because if you got to run, you can?
Yeah.
Okay, very good, because I just got a couple ads to run, and then, of course, we'll come back and we'll wrap up the show with Bargain Bin Special of the night and Best Bets coming up in just a moment, right after we hear from our great Ice Guy sponsors.
Wizard Sports Picks, featuring the finest handicappers in the universe. Sharp insights, trusted picks, and relentless results. We strive to help you become consistent winners. This is Wizard Sports Picks.
Royal Canada, where the kings and queens shop.
All right, check it out. Make sure you check it out, royalcannabisshop.com, 20% off with the promo code Ice Guys. Definitely excited. New smoke sponsor. We appreciate them. I hope you all like the new Ice Guys store ad as well. Great stuff to see that. Check out the store and all the great sponsors. Appreciate them supporting the show. All right, bargain bin special of the night for this Tuesday NHL slate. Lots to choose. I'm going with 3 bargain bin specials.
Ooh.
It's a 3. Yeah, there's a bunch that I really do like. So 3 bargain bin specials tonight. But Alex, we'll start with you. What do you like for bargain bin special?
Well, there's a lot of goal scorer props that I like tonight, and there's a couple of them that fit the criteria, but the one that stuck out the most, going to head down to Big D. Got the Wild taking on the Stars. Give me Wyatt Johnston to score the first goal of the game, plus 1,300 available at FanDuel. Like him to get things rocking and rolling for the Stars there at home against the Wild. So Wyatt Johnston, first goal, plus 1,300. That's my bargain bin special for the night.
All right, Wyatt Johnston for Dallas, first goal for Alex B. Smith with bargain bin special of the night. Patrick, we didn't hold you to it, but we said if there's a plus 300 or better player prop you like for bargain bin special, you're welcome to provide it. What are you liking?
Well, I know earlier in the show I called out a Yossi goal for the Preds, but I meant to mention this, Bunting returning to Toronto. He played for Toronto for a while. And
and he often scores against them too.
Yeah,
Great call.
Yeah,
Great
they
one.
got him at DraftKings got him at plus 425 right now.
Yeah, that's worth it. Yep.
So I like a little bit of a revenge tour there, Bunting to score against his former team.
That's a good. All right, we'll go with that. Michael Bunting. I totally forgot about that. And you're right. He does score. He has scored multiple times against Toronto in the past since he left the Leafs. So, yeah, Michael Bunting, plus 425. I like it. All right, 3 bargain bins, as I mentioned, for yours truly. Number 1, Mangiapane. Andrew Mangiapane for the Edmonton Oilers at plus 420 is actually the best price out there in some spots. So Andrew Mangiapane, Edmonton Oilers, playing with McDavid and Draisaitl. We're going to go with him for my first bargain bin special of the night. My second bargain bin special of the night is going to be Easton Cowan playing with Nyes and Matthews on the top line for Toronto. The best price for him is plus 320 right now in this game tonight. So Easton Cowan for the Toronto Maple Leafs, plus 320. Andrew Mangiapane for Edmonton, plus 420. And my final player prop bargain bin special, I should say here for this slate tonight, it's going to be, we're going to go all the way down to that last game. Beckett, Seneca. He scored in both Anaheim games so far this season. Beckett Seneca for the Ducks, plus 325. The best price for him there. So we're going with a trio. Seneca, Anaheim, plus 325. Cowan, Toronto, plus 320. Mangiapane, Edmonton, plus 420 for my bargain bin specials for this Tuesday. All right, best bets to wrap up the show. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Let's head on up north to Toronto. Got the Maple Leafs taking on the Preds, and I like Nashville to get goals against Caden Primo. Caden Primo has given up 3 or more goals in 14 of his last 16 starts. I'm expecting that to continue, so let's go over 2.5 goals. Team total for Nashville at minus 125 is the best price available. So Preds, team total over 2.5 is my best bet tonight.
All right, Nashville, team total over 2.5. Best bet for Alex B. Smith. Patrick Murray, here you are. Best bet.
I like Edmonton to cover the puck line, minus 1.5. They're plus 180. I think that they're on a warpath this year, especially McDavid taking that such team-friendly deal. So that's where I'm going. I think they're going to come into New York and steamroll them a little bit.
All right, there you go. Edmonton, minus 1.5, plus 180. A very good price on that Edmonton puck line for Patrick Murray and his best bet. My best bet here for this one, I'm going to go to that Tampa Bay, Washington, over 5.5, minus 130. Lightning 3-0 to the over this season. Vasilevsky hasn't looked sharp. Tampa Bay's been scoring, though, so far early in the year. 4 goals in the win yesterday. Even in the loss to Ottawa, they still scored 5. But Vasilevsky looks a step behind. That blue line in front of him looks a step behind. I think they haven't played great. Maybe they're not going to be. Because remember, there's some older guys on that blue line. Victor Hedman's not getting any younger, and they got a couple other guys aging a little bit. Radish is, not a young guy either. So, like I said, I think that Tampa Bay blue line's looked a little leaky, a little vulnerable early in the year. Capitals should score. I think Tampa does as well. Reasonable total. We'll go with Tampa Bay, Washington, over 5.5, minus 130 for my best bet here for this Tuesday NHL card. That's a wrap, Patrick. Great job, man. Really, really strong work from you in your first appearance here on the Ice Guys show. Anything you want to say before we wrap it up?
No, I appreciate you guys having me. I learned a ton. I haven't been huge into the betting world the last several years. I picked up on it over the last
you could have fooled me.
season, and I'm just trying to keep up with you guys. You're pulling all the stats out, and I'm like, man, I thought I knew hockey. My goodness, you guys, you have quite the pile of knowledge there. But no, a lot of fun mixing it up with you guys, and hopefully some of these bets hit, and we make some people some money and make ourselves some money too.
Yeah, no doubt, Patrick. Great work. Just before we wrap up too, you can, for the full details of what Patrick does as far as coaching and all that, check out the Players Suite interview. But just tell our audience too what you're doing locally with the hockey scene there.
Yeah, I coach with the Nashville Junior Predators. I've been with them for about 7 years now. I have my own little private training business down here. I do a lot of one-on-one group lessons on the ice with kids, anywhere from beginner to professional. So not just kids, adults too. And then also I'm a realtor in Nashville. So if you're in the area and you need to buy or sell a house, hit me up. We'll get it done.
If Bobby Ryan ever sells his property down there in Nashville, should be calling you. Yeah, exactly. Getting you to help him out with that stuff. So great stuff. Patrick Murray, our guest. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. Hit the like button on the way out. A reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturday and Sunday, noon Eastern. If you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and more. Download the Ice Guys podcast when you can't watch the show live. For Alex B. Smith, for Patrick Murray, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. We'll see you tomorrow on Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern, for another edition of the Ice Guys.